St. Mary's County Hospital in Maryland was usually calm at this hour. It was just past 9 p.m., the halls bright but quiet, nurses finishing chart updates, and a few doctors grabbing late coffee, but that peaceful rhythm shattered in seconds. The automatic doors slammed open with a cold rush of winter air. Heads turned instantly, conversations stopped mid-sentence, even the security guard at the reception desk froze. A giant man, leather vest, heavy boots, thick beard, tattoos crawling up both arms, stepped into the lobby. The bold patch on his back read, Iron Serpents MC President. No one missed it. Everyone in the county knew this biker club. Tough men, loud engines, zero fear. Not the kind of people who walked into a hospital unless something was very, very wrong. Nurse Amelia almost dropped the files in her hands. Is that Razor Hayes?" she whispered to her colleague. It was Razor Hayes, the infamous leader of the Iron Serpents, a man rumored to have survived gunfights, bar wars, and motorcycle crashes that would have killed others. But tonight, he didn't look dangerous. He looked devastated. His face was pale, jaw clenched, eyes burning with panic. His boots echoed against the tile floor as he hurried toward the front desk. But what truly froze the entire hospital wasn't the man himself. It was what he was carrying. Cradled in his massive arms, wrapped in his leather jacket, was a small boy barely 8 years old. The child wasn't moving. His breathing was shallow, his skin cold. Dried blood streaked across his forehead. Razor pressed him to his chest like he was holding the most fragile thing in the world. "I need a doctor," Razor's deep voice cracked. "Now he's not waking up." The shock on the staff's faces vanished instantly as instinct took over. Dr. Collins rushed from the hallway. "Bring him this way. What happened?" Razor followed, his steps trembling. A truck, it came out of nowhere. He was on his bike. "My boy, my son, I couldn't stop it." It was the first time anyone heard Razor Hayes sound broken. Inside the trauma room, nurses attached monitors, checked vitals, and cleaned the wound. Razor stood against the wall, fists shaking, unable to breathe properly. The tough biker president looked like he was collapsing from the inside. Dr. Collins examined the boy quickly. "He has a head injury and possible internal bleeding. We are doing everything we can." Razor swallowed hard. "Just save him, please, he's all I got." Everyone in the room felt the weight of that plea. The same man feared across towns, now begging. Outside the trauma room, more Iron Serpents bikers began arriving. The deep rumble of motorcycles filled the parking lot. People in the lobby peeked out the windows nervously. But none of them came inside. They knew their leader needed space. Inside, Razor lowered his head, whispering to his unconscious son, "Hang on, buddy. Dad's right here, don't leave me." The hospital was silent, waiting, watching, praying, as the toughest man in Maryland stood helplessly, watching doctors fight for the tiny life in his arms. The trauma room was a flurry of controlled chaos. Machines beeped, nurses shouted orders, and Dr. Collins worked with precise urgency. Razor Hayes stood close, his massive frame hunched, his eyes never leaving his son. Every second felt like an eternity. He had faced gunfights, street wars, and rival biker gangs without fear. But this, seeing his boy lying limp, bleeding, and fighting for life, it was a kind of terror no one could prepare for. "Vitals are unstable," Dr. Collins said, glancing at the monitors. "We need to stabilize him before we can run a CT scan. Nurse, prep the oar if necessary." Razor's hands clenched into fists, his knuckles white. He wanted to do something, anything to help, but there was nothing. The only thing he could do was stand guard over his son, whispering reassurances he wasn't even sure would help. "I'm right here, buddy. Dad's not leaving. Hang in there," Razor muttered, his voice low but steady. He brushed a strand of hair from the boy's forehead, ignoring the shocked looks from the staff. They weren't used to seeing such a hardened man show this level of vulnerability. Meanwhile, the hospital lobby was crowded with nervous staff and a few visitors who had witnessed the scene. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Is that him, Razor Hayes?" Yeah, the biker gang leader, but why does he look like that? I've never seen him like this. He's scared. Back in the trauma room, the child began to stir slightly, a faint groan escaping his lips. Razor's heart leapt. Hey, hey, don't scare me like that, he said, his voice breaking. Dr. Collins finally looked at Razor. He's responding, but we need to get him into surgery to prevent further complications. Razor nodded, swallowing hard. Whatever it takes, just save him. As the medical team wheeled the boy toward the OR, Razor followed closely. He glanced around the hospital and noticed a small group of bikers standing outside the entrance. They hadn't entered. They respected the boundaries, knowing their leader needed this moment. Yet the solidarity was clear, a silent show of strength and support. Inside the operating room, Dr. Collins and the surgical team worked tirelessly. Razor waited in the hallway, packing back and forth. Memories of his son flashed before him, the first time he rode a bike, the laughter echoing in the garage, the nights spent reading stories together. He gritted his teeth, clinging to those memories as he silently prayed. After what felt like an eternity, Dr. Collins stepped out. The surgery went well. He's stable now, but he'll need intensive care for a few days. Razor's shoulders slumped, relief washing over him in a heavy, almost overwhelming wave. He let out a long breath, tears threatening to fall. The toughest man in Maryland had faced death countless times, but seeing it approach his child had almost broken him entirely. Outside, the bikers watched anxiously, unaware of the relief that had just spread through the room. Razor finally stepped into the hallway, his hand resting on the small boy's shoulder. "He's going to be okay," he said quietly. And in that moment, everyone realized something profound. Beneath the leather, tattoos, and fearless reputation, Razor Hayes was, above all, a father. Fierce, protective, and utterly devoted. The hospital, which had frozen when he walked in, now understood that some battles were fought not with fists or engines, but with love.